My name is Doug Robison. I'm running for District 26 in the Texas Congressional Districts. I am a recently retired district judge. I was elected 4 terms in Denton County as a district judge, which is about 82%, I've been told, of the voting constituency of this particular district. But I happen to think that given the number of candidates in this race and just independently of that, I think Wise County is a very important county for everybody for lots of reasons, and as is Cook and as is Denton. As a district judge, I was a constitutionalist, and people will always say, I got that question asked at Robison Ranch last night, well, what do you mean by that? I said, I believe in the literal interpretation of the Constitution, and I believe that it needs to be enforced as written. None of these rights they try to create out of whole cloth, and that's the way I've been, and that's the way I've ruled, and I have ruled consistently to protect the freedoms of the individuals in America.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, I have 4 different groups here
Wow.
that we're going to be getting you to answer questions from. The first one's from the Wise Republic Party, and this is it. What is the purpose of our government in the world, and what, if any, relations should we have with other countries?
We are a leader in this world and should remain a leader in this world. Having said that, that doesn't mean I'm also think we should be a policeman in every particular state. We need to lead by the force of our culture and our society. Promote free market capitalism, promote freedom of the individual as a society, and I will state this, we are in a Cold War, and I'm old enough to remember the Cold War with China. It started certainly since she's been there, but maybe before that. And we as a society need to realize that and be strong with China. For example, we should have a law that says no more capital exports to China. We should have a law that says that we're not going to let them export at will into this country. That's just an example.
Our second question comes from a group here nearby, the Southwise Republican Club. And this is it. The immigration and protecting our national sovereignty are always talking points, but never get solved. What would be your solution to creating a merit-based immigration system and protecting our borders?
I think we should have on this point I agree with President Trump. We need to build a wall. The debate as to how big should any door in that wall be, and that is where Congress has to come to a decision. In fact, they claim they're doing that right now, and I'll believe it when it happens. But we do need to build that wall. We need to fully fund it. And quite frankly, the federal government has abandoned it, and that's one of the reasons I'm running, is that we need to, because what we've done as Texans, we've now said, okay, you're not going to enforce it. We have Abbott's Law in the book. We're going to do it. And of course, the federal government sued us yesterday to say that's an illegal juxtaposition of its rights. And we said, well, that would be true, except you've abandoned it. So we're going to do it. And that's a part of that is, I guess, as Texans, we're going to have to do that.
Our next question comes from the Patriot Society in Boyd, Texas. As an elected member of Congress, you will swear an oath to the U.S. Constitution to defend against enemies, both foreign and domestic. Will you author and support bills to defend the FBI and any other federal agencies weaponized against the American people? And please explain how you will accomplish that.
I'm not quite certain I understand. Would I authorize a bill to allow them to weaponize against the American people? I would authorize bills the other way. And this is besides the border and besides the future of the children in this country. That is, I'm passionate about that. We are leaving them a debt that needs to be paid. And if we don't do that, we are destroying future generations of this country. But weaponization of the legal system, I find abominable. And that is what's happening. And I will vote for a law that would prohibit that. If we have to, we would have to put an oversight or a commissar oversight over all of these agencies, maybe a committee, certainly no more than 3, because that way 2 can vote, and make certain that they are running as a neutral body, not as a partisan political machine, which is, quite frankly, what's happening now. And that really disturbs me as a judge. I've seen when law enforcement is unfair, and they are being less than fair today.
Our fourth and final question comes from the Wise County Conservatives. Based on your understanding of the U.S. Constitution, in what circumstances, if any, can a state lawfully nullify a federal action or a written law or policy?
Well, I think if the federal government abandons as we just stated, if they abandon a duty that they have under the Constitution, I think the state can step up and fulfill that, and Texas has done that. And now we are being challenged, and it's interesting, the point will be taken up, and hopefully it'll go up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which, by the way, is a conservative court, relatively speaking, and they will sustain that Texas action and say, yes, you can act when the federal government abandons. There are also things explicitly reserved to the state. And one of those things is the area of family law. If you read the Federalist Papers, and I was a judge who handled CPS cases, and I had cases with child trafficking and fentanyl possession, child abuse, and the state has the absolute right to take all actions necessary to protect children, and that can be broadly interpreted to help solve this immigration context. That's probably the only area I would say we need to broadly interpret any law.